The gentle symphony of clinking glassware and soft morning conversations permeated the golden warmth of Rosewood Café, an unassuming diner nestled at the intersection of Maple Street. Dawn had risen sufficiently to cast ribbons of sunlight across the weathered wooden planks, illuminating the marks left by countless years. At the counter, a young woman called Marissa Kellen expertly maneuvered a tray laden with steaming coffee cups, her movements flowing with the practiced ease of someone who had transformed weariness into elegance. Though merely 24 years old, her weary gaze and work-worn palms revealed an existence that demanded far beyond her tender age. However, none present on this deceptively routine morning could foresee that Marissa was on the verge of observing something minuscule yet monumentally significant, something that would irreversibly transform her destiny and inadvertently rescue a billionaire from catastrophic financial ruin. Before we proceed, if you embrace kindness, redemption, and the profound impact of modest gestures, please pause to like this video, share your reflections in the comments, distribute it among others, and subscribe to American Folktales. These narratives exist to illuminate the transformative force of human connection and empathy. That particular morning had commenced identically for Marissa. She had navigated the slumbering avenues of her community before Dawn's arrival, enveloped in a worn cardigan, her exhalations forming clouds in the sharp September atmosphere. Her existence bore the burden of countless hardships. Her mother had been waging a prolonged battle against illness. Medical invoices towered upon the kitchen surface, while her younger sibling's academic future rested upon her modest earnings. On most occasions, she felt as though she shouldered the entire universe's weight. Nevertheless, she persevered relentlessly, refusing to surrender her soul to hopelessness. Within the cafe's embrace, familiar patrons occupied the vinyl booths, long-haul truckers making brief stops, administrative staff securing their morning meals, and pensioners lingering over bottomless cups of dark roast. Then, inconspicuously and drawing minimal notice, a gentleman entered wearing a subtle charcoal business suit. He appeared indistinguishable from any corporate professional, his hair touched with silver, his footwear pristine yet modest. Scarcely anyone in that intimate establishment recognized him as Elliot Vaughn, a billionaire industrialist whose portrait had graced numerous financial publication covers. He had constructed commercial dynasties spanning maritime transport, construction, and energy sectors. Yet here he remained, positioned at a secluded corner table, methodically examining a substantial collection of documents with creased concentration. Marissa approached his seating area, extending a genuine smile while positioning a menu before him. He scarcely acknowledged her presence, consumed by the gravity of whatever figures and endorsements populated those pages. She filled his cup with coffee, her perceptive eyes detecting the subtle tremor in his hands, not from advancing years, but from the enormous pressure of decisions carrying millions in consequences. As the cafe maintained its bustling rhythm, Marissa continued her duties. Yet each time she passed Elliot's location, she found herself glancing toward the papers he had arranged before him. Not from invasive intent, she possessed far too much respect for such behavior, but because she felt intrigued by the gentleman who appeared utterly absorbed in them. She observed something peculiar. A brief passage nestled within a contract's detailed print seemed strangely positioned. Her years spent managing expenses, analyzing loan paperwork, and navigating medical insurance complications had refined her ability to detect numerical discrepancies and irregularities. In that precise moment, she recognized what Elliot, his legal counsel, and his consultants had entirely missed. The agreement contained a carefully concealed provision that redistributed responsibility in a manner potentially costing him not merely thousands, but conceivably hundreds of millions should he execute it. The clause remained buried beneath professional terminology, yet to someone accustomed to scrutinizing survival's fine print, it blazed like an urgent alarm. Marissa paused momentarily, wrestling between maintaining personal boundaries and voicing her concern. Indeed, what authority did she possess to meddle in the affairs of someone so influential, so prosperous, and so distant from her reality? However, her moral compass compelled her forward. She could not disregard what she had discovered. Drawing a steadying breath to compose herself, upon returning to his table, she carefully set down his breakfast of eggs and toast. Her voice wavered as she quietly suggested she might have detected something irregular within his documentation. Elliot regarded her with initial amazement that a server would venture to comment upon such sophisticated matters. Yet his expression held no condescension, merely genuine interest. He extended the document toward her, requesting she indicate her observation. Using her fingertip, she traced the problematic line concealed within the legal language. Elliot's demeanor transformed as he reread the passage, his brow furrowing more intensely. His prolonged silence stretched sufficiently that Marissa began fearing she had embarrassed herself completely. Then, gradually, his eyes expanded with comprehension. What she had identified was truly a catastrophic oversight, one his legal team had inexplicably failed to recognize. That minor detail, had it remained undetected, would have devastated his finances, undermined his enterprise, and potentially endangered thousands of workers. Elliot placed the documents aside and studied Marissa with combined amazement and appreciation. For an instant, the billionaire and the waitress remained there, two separate universes converging, united by a solitary moment of perception. He inquired about her identity, wishing to remember the individual who had just preserved him from catastrophe. Marissa, humble and nearly ashamed, simply responded and attempted to dismiss it as insignificant. To him, however, it represented everything. News of the incident circulated discreetly. Elliot, humbled by the reality that a waitress had preserved millions for him, began perceiving existence through transformed perspective. He had spent decades surrounded by consultants, specialists, and researchers. Nevertheless, an ordinary young woman, carrying her own burdens, had shielded him from destruction. He could not overlook this truth. Several days afterward, Marissa arrived home following another exhausting shift, her hands throbbing, only to discover correspondence awaiting her upon the kitchen surface. It bore an embossed corporate insignia she failed to recognize. Within lay a proposal. Elliot had created a scholarship foundation bearing her name to fund her brother's academic pursuits. Additionally, he offered to assume complete responsibility for her mother's medical costs. Beyond these gestures, he included a personal message expressing gratitude for her integrity, her bravery, and her observant nature. He extended an invitation to join his organization in a junior analytical position, recognizing that someone capable of perceiving what others overlooked possessed invaluable talent. Marissa sobbed while reading the correspondence, her tears dampening the paper. Throughout countless years, she had felt invisible, her struggles unnoticed, her dedication unrecognized. Yet through a single courageous act, she had not only preserved a billionaire's wealth but also revolutionized her own existence and those of her beloved family. Elliot, too, experienced transformation. For the first occasion in decades, he entered his corporate headquarters with renewed humility, understanding that wealth alone could not protect him from errors. He carried Marissa's narrative with him, presenting it as instruction to his staff and associates. That insight can emerge from the most unlikely sources and that excellence often dwells within ordinary individuals. From that moment onward, Marissa's life flourished beyond her wildest dreams. Her mother obtained the crucial treatment she required. Her brother excelled academically without fearing unpaid educational expenses, and Marissa herself began developing within a position where intellectual acuity was cherished and honored. Yet she never abandoned memories of the café, the lengthy shifts, or the individuals who forged her determination. She frequently returned to visit, serving coffee to unfamiliar faces with identical warmth, reminding herself that modesty represented life's greatest treasure. As time progressed, their narrative became something people shared with reverence. The day a waitress preserved millions for a billionaire and, through this action, uncovered the immeasurable value of her own existence. The story transcended monetary concerns. It celebrated courage, compassion, and the cascading influence of recognizing what others disregard. And now, to everyone listening, if this narrative resonated within your heart, please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe to American Folktales. These stories transcend mere entertainment. They serve as reminders of the profound impact one person can achieve, regardless of how insignificant they may feel. Before concluding, I present a special request. Comment below, I believe even small acts can change the world. Allow us to know you were touched and let us preserve hope's spirit together. Because occasionally, within the peaceful corners of a sunlit cafe, an ordinary waitress can possess the power to transform everything.